I reached out to Vaush earlier today. I was like, listen, dude, I see something going on that I don't like. I'm letting you know it's a fucking never-ending death spiral. It will turn out bad if you just like allow this kind of shit to foster.
You can see this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
There's so much porn!
He's like, why the fuck you lying? And she's like, to defend Tron CP.
I think that I've given the impression of having a community that doesn't care whether those accusations are true or not.
Listen to me. This is a wake-up call, all right? You gotta get back out there and meet somebody because you are spiraling out of control here.
I want to apologize for making it so difficult to be a fan of mine. If you disagree with me on this, you're wrong. I know it sounds yikesy. It happens anyway.
Now, if you're watching this video, I am assuming that you are somewhat familiar with the streamer Vaush and the recent conundrum that he got himself into. For a quick recap on what happened, Vaush has been exposed, and by been exposed, Vaush literally showed off his goon folder on stream. On accident, of course, but the contents of the goon folder is quite interesting. For obvious reasons, I will not be sharing the contents of the goon folder, but it's out there, and it is very creepy. Without getting too graphic, let's describe it as a very graphic image of a horse and a little girl. If you're picking up on the context clues, I'm sure you can piece it all together. Now, if you've been watching me for over just about a year at this point during the whole Hogwarts Legacy drama, you might remember how Vaush was attacking Pipkin Pippa, and the accusations that Vaush was throwing towards Pipkin Pippa and her fans. Well, let's just say we can now 100% confirm it is grade A projection.
Large portion of VTubers are degenerate 4chan incel pedophiles.
A bunch of old similar clips have been popping up in recent light because obviously Vaush's name is really tarnished right now, and now is a perfect opening to basically expose everything he's done in the past, which is really not that hard considering he proudly says it on stream.
It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
This is a clip in particular that I think is very damning and that Vaush would later double down on. This is not out of context, where he says that CP is just as morally repugnant as child labor.
Now, this is going to be a real hot take. I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child should be illegal. Actual child.
What if CP is free? If you're not paying for child, then there is no argument in favor of morally condemning people who get it.
So, you know, there's pedophiles, right, who buy child. Would you say they should not be held responsible for doing that?
Yes.
Really? Even though they're directly supporting child.
Yeah, I think it's hypocritical. If because I bought my computer and the silicon in it was farmed in Africa by slaves, if I can do that, and that's legal and no one's going to call me out on my shit, then...
Now, considering Vaush's audience and his side of the internet being BreadTube, there are people that actually believe what Vaush says is true, mostly because there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and child labor is essentially having a child participate in the workforce, which perpetuates capitalism. So let's start this debunking by explaining and breaking down the term, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
And speaking of shock value, an example already exists of something so inextricably tied up in human suffering that both its production and possession are illegal: child sexual abuse material. If we already know something that harmful should just be excised from society, couldn't we do the same for products that we know are made with child slavery, at the very least? The parallel felt clear to me, and I wanted to really drive home the hypocrisy of the people arguing against me, who said you were downplaying, I guess, the issue with the whole child slavery intertwined in our, economy thing. So, in fact, and this is going to be a real hot take, I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child pornography should be illegal. Actual child pornography.
How's that for a hot fucking take? Now, to clarify on this take, as I feel it necessary to do so, we do not, in this country, typically criminalize people who have procured media or resources which were the product of abuse. It is not illegal to own necklaces that have slave diamonds or whatever. What are they called? Yeah, blood diamonds. Yeah, all of our clothes produced by sweatshops, our computers, the silicon and lithium mined from literal fucking slaves. In our society, we have already deemed that people are not responsible for the mechanisms by which the media they consume and the content they engage with are produced. You like that argument? Ooh, you like that? You like that moral culpability? You're all worse than fucking CP owners, and I am too. Do you like that? No ethical consumption under capitalism. Shit sucks, right? But if we accept that argument for slave labor, then we definitely have to accept it for child pornography.
This is because basically all socialist doctrine that you can find will always place the employer as oppositional to the employee. They are enemies and not in a mutually beneficial relationship, which if you've worked for basically any company that's not in the S&P 500, you'll know that's not exactly true. The existence of bad, negligent, or malicious bosses obviously does not mean that every single boss or the position of boss is inherently negative. So BreadTube believes that inserting children into the worker-boss dynamic would be abusive to the child. This is because they view bosses as exploitative and just milking you for money, and that there are no other good reasons to work at such a young age, which if you ever had a job in high school or just shortly after, I'm sure that you learned more at your first month of the job than you did in that whole year of school. Because once you reach 12 years of schooling, you're gonna have some diminishing returns. But being inserted into a new environment forces new ways of thinking, acting, and behaving. But obviously, I'm talking about an American perspective. A lot of products that Americans use from a day-to-day basis is used using child labor from other, less ethical countries. Insert meme about a Chinese sweatshop here. Without defending children in sweatshops in foreign countries making products for the first world to enjoy, let's be very clear. That is in no way just as morally repugnant as CP. You know, as a child, if I had the choice between hard physical labor for multiple hours a day for very little play and being essayed probably on a daily basis and sometimes having it be recorded, I'm picking the hard manual labor, which what I think most people don't understand, which I completely get because most people don't really want to think about the modern day slave trade and child trafficking. But obviously when you're a child at the mercy of pedophiles that will be recording themselves abusing you, that is the exploitation of a work camp or a sweatshop, plus physically removing the child from their family, plus trafficking them probably to a different country entirely, plus the sexual element. So in no way they are morally equivalent whatsoever. Not to mention the effects of the consumer. Now obviously if you buy an iPhone, you are buying it independent of the fact that it was made by child slaves. The main reason that children from foreign countries are used to make such a product is most likely because it's cheaper for manufacturing. That's a whole other issue that I will not go into in this video. Obviously you aren't interested in the iPhone, the plush, the computer, the TV, etc. because the child made it. But for CP, the whole appeal is that it's a child. The whole video was produced knowing that it would be a child front and center. And that's not even to go into the effects of normal adult pornography. There are countless studies saying how the effects of pornography is similar to heroin on your brain and how the gray matter in your very brain is diminished just from viewing it. Studies also show that you have increased sexual aggression the more addicted you are to pornography, as well as the likelihood of becoming bisexual or gay increases the more you view it. And here's the kicker. The more pornography that you watch, the more likely you are to seek out bestiality or CP. Now, that is sounding very eerily familiar to Vaush. Vaush gooned so hard that he has no gray matter in his brain, and the only thing that will get him off is literally horse penetration. And if you want me to do a bigger, more expanded video just on porn alone, I will easily be able to do that. Just tell me in the comment section down below if you're interested. In the upcoming days or weeks, depending if I can confirm some guests, I will also be streaming about the situation that Vaush is currently in and the drama surrounding him, because I have a feeling that this Vaush drama is not going to dry up anytime soon, especially if the rumors that ContraPoints will be making a video on him are true, because at the moment we are seeing the left and BreadTube eat itself alive. Obviously, just a couple months ago we saw H-Bomber guy go after James Somerton and a lot of others for plagiarism, but James Somerton straight up left the internet because of that video. And now we are seeing Keffals, who defended Vaush, starting to leave the internet, but I 100% believe Keffals will come back. Keffals is just too addicted to the internet clout. All I gotta say is that I was a hater before everyone else was. The Catboy Ranch, I knew about that a year ago, but Mudahar is just now figuring out about it. It's most likely because now it's been deemed okay to go after Keffals where previously wasn't. Because remember, all of these bigger slop commentary channels, Moist Critical, Some Ordinary Gamers, Oompaville, they will all just take the path of least resistance. And what we need to do is carve out that path for them. Even if they have no convictions, I'm sure it'll be very funny to see them go after Keffals and Vaush. It's almost making me start to like H3H3 more. But obviously, tell me what you think in the comment section down below, and be on the lookout for an upcoming stream I have on Vaush. I'm going to be inviting quite a few people. I'm not going to reveal it yet. And for all of those that are here purely just to defend Vaush, maybe you should have listened to his words in this video.
You can help, you know? I want you guys to chill. Stop fighting on my behalf. Stop arguing for me against others, especially on the subject of this video. That's one of the reasons I made this video.
Checkmate liberal.